The US military isn't just strong in 2025, it's unmatched. According to Global Firepower, America ranks #1 in the world, again, with a power index score of 0.0744. It leads ahead of Russia and China, who trail behind with 0.0788. That might sound close, but in military terms, it's a massive gap. Because when it comes to raw firepower, funding, global reach, and speed, no one even comes close. Today we're breaking down exactly how the US keeps its edge, from trillions in defense spending to unmatched manpower, aircraft, and naval dominance. Let's start where military power begins: money. Money is one of the most
So guys, welcome. I told y'all I'm going to bring somebody to react with me, and
Yes.
I managed to convince her to come along with me to react. And I know she's going to be impressed because I've not watched this video. She has not. I've already done a video on how powerful the American military is, but somebody told me that was a video from 2019 or 2018. So this one is how powerful the American military is in 2025. So I went along and dragged my girlfriend down here to react with me on this thing.
Oh God.
She's in the medical field though, so I would like her to know what the Americans do because I am not selfish. I don't want to enjoy it alone.
Oh, really?
Okay, so subscribe, leave a comment, and a like. We don't have so much to be saying. We have to run down here and check what the Americans are up to because they're up to a lot. We know they are big, but we want to find out how big.
Big, they really are.
Great.
important
Are you ready?
factors in determining a country's military strength, as it costs a colossal amount of money to forge a strong force. Millions of dollars can go into the production of a single tank, for example, with some of the
Damn.
world's finest fighter jets having 9-figure price tags. Then there are the costs of the many smaller vehicles, weapons, and other pieces of equipment a strong military needs, plus funds for training and paying active duty personnel, from soldiers to mechanics, engineers, pilots,
Yeah, I
and
like
more.
that uniform.
It's no secret that the US spends heavily on defense.
say that
Whether you
I
look at
like
recent
military.
years or go back further in history, it's constantly had the biggest military budget by far, sometimes spending up to 10% of the country's entire gross domestic product, or GDP, on defense. In 2025, the US is expected to spend just under $900 billion on its military, which is over
What? $900 billion. And somebody actually told me that it was, in my comment, that is actually $1.05 trillion. For perspective, okay, they say China is the second, spending 296 billion. Number one is spending 1 trillion. That means 1 trillion is like $1,000. So if you take, like, America is number one, if you take the next 10 people behind them and add it, it will not be up to what they spend. You can imagine, like, this guy, the budget of Cameroon, of our country, is $52 billion. 52. These people are spending more than
Our own
20
budget.
times their budget
Oh,
on their
God.
military
Nah.
in 1 year. Okay, let's go.
3% of its GDP. In
To be
comparison, the
honest,
next biggest spender is China, with an officially reported 2025 defense budget of around $249 billion. Russia's budget is even lower, at approximately
Yeah, but it's not
$126
even
billion.
close to America.
Even if you combined and doubled both, the total would still fall short of the US defense budget. And while some analysts suggest that China may underreport its actual spending, the US maintains a decisive lead, not just in funding, but in global reach, alliances, and cutting-edge military technology. Even more astonishingly, if you added up the budgets of all the countries ranked second to 10th in 2025 spending, which includes China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, the UK, Japan, Australia, France, and Ukraine, that still would not match the US budget. Next, let's look at manpower. People are the beating heart of the army. They're the ones who man the tanks, pilot the jets, fire the rifles, and so much more. You need trained, willing, and skilled fighters to build a truly strong fighting force, and the US certainly has plenty of those. But there are several different ways to measure manpower, and the US doesn't top the list in every single one, so let's go through them and explore the value of each. First, available military manpower. This tells us how many people each country could mobilize in the most extreme situations, like full-scale global warfare or a major invasion. According to GFP, the US could call on around 150 million people in total, which is close to half of the country's population. That's not the highest figure on the list, which is hardly surprising, as the US is not the most populous country. Instead, the two biggest countries in the world, China and India, come in first and second. China could call up around 764 million people, while India has an available military manpower pool of 662 million. The figures are quite similar in terms of the fit-for-service population. This tells us how many able-bodied people each country has that will be able to fight or play a part in a long-term military campaign if they had to. China once more tops the list with around 626 million. India comes in second with 522 million, and the US sits third with 124 million. However, these two stats aren't all that important, as it's highly unlikely that countries like the US, China, or India would need to call up almost half of their entire populations to fight. Instead, to get a better view of how strong each country's force is, it's best to take a look at the numbers of active duty personnel and reservists. Active duty personnel are basically full-time members of the military. They're the most highly trained, combat-ready individuals, dedicating their lives to the military. Reservists, meanwhile, are people who have spent some time undergoing military training or service, but aren't currently involved with the army. They remain in reserve, ready to...
I think this is called a Bradley. No, this is a striker, right?
The striker.
When you see a military vehicle with that plus sign, that red cross on it, it's a medical. It's a medical vehicle. So
Medical.
like the people that are in that vehicle are medical people. So they're taking care of the wounded.
This is a medical sign.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, so you cannot
serve if and when
cannot
called
attack the
upon.
vehicle.
The US has an impressive total of 1.3 million active duty personnel. That once again puts it in third behind China and India. However, the difference
Yeah, but I know that they're put third, but if you take the ratio of military to the population, they'll be way above India and China because they have only 340 million people and they have 1.3 million. The other people have 2 billion, 1.4 billion, around 1.4 billion each. And they have one, India has about 2 million, China has about 2.5 million or something like that. So America is top high if it comes to per total population, right? Yeah.
this time is much smaller. India is only slightly ahead of America with 1.4 million active duty soldiers, while China takes the
1.4.
top spot with around 2 million. As far as reservists go, the US has around 800,000. That puts it in 10th place globally. Vietnam sits in the top spot with an astonishing 5 million reservists, while South Korea is in second with 3.1 million and Taiwan third with 2.3 million. Many of the countries taking the high spots in this list tend to have some sort of mandatory military service or have built their military strategies around having high numbers of reservists, rather than paying too many full-time salaries for active duty personnel. The US has always had a different strategy, focusing more on having highly trained, fully engaged soldiers ready to enter battle as and when required, rather than a huge reservist force. It's worth noting too, when it comes to manpower, that it's a question not only of quantity, but quality. A country
That helicopter is called the King Stallion heavy lift helicopter? I think it's
could have 5 million soldiers but lack the infrastructure needed to properly train them for combat or equip them with the kinds of vehicles and weapons needed to outmatch their enemies. In contrast, the US has some of the strictest and most effective military training programs anywhere on Earth. This allows it to produce some of the most extraordinary military teams in history, from the Navy SEALs to the Green Berets.
I think in our country the tanks that we use here, this is the M1 Abrams, it's M1A2 Abrams or something like that. The tanks that we use here in my country are the T-34 tanks of World War II. Okay, then some are T-64, like the flag bearers of our country. These guys are really almost how many thousand
Chai, God.
one of these is, I think one of these is more than $3 million or something like that, or $1 million. I don't know,
To
but
have it like
only one, and they have about, I don't know if it's 6,000
of this.
of these tanks. Can you imagine?
Like, what's the use of this?
Yeah, tank. Yeah, a tank is what they, like if a country invaded Cameroon, they wanted to attack Cameroon, these would be the machines that are going in front to make sure that the Cameroonian military will not talk.
Hmm.
You understand?
I understand.
Yeah. So these guys are always going in front.
Even small amounts of America's most elite squads are much deadlier than huge battalions of soldiers from many other countries across the world. Now let's take a look at the various branches that make up the US military, namely the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. There are also two more branches, the Space Force and the Coast Guard, but they're less prominent and not as relevant for the time being in terms of overall military might. When you look closely at different militaries around the world, many excel in one particular area but lag in others. Countries with long coastlines, for example, might invest heavily in strong naval forces to guard their waters, but might not have such strong ground or aerial forces. Other countries put a great deal of focus on aerial superiority, but wouldn't stand much chance in a naval battle. One of the ways in which the US has always stood out is the overall balance of its military. Whether fighting on the ground, in the air, or at sea, the US always remains one of the strongest and most formidable forces for any opponent to overcome. It's dominant in all domains, but there are still a few important differences between them. The US Army, for example, is the biggest of all the US military branches. It has over 450,000 active duty personnel, with more than 325,000 National Guard members and over 175,000 Army Reserve personnel, adding up to over 950,000 soldiers in total. The Air Force comes next, with around 495,000 members overall. That includes 322,000 active duty personnel, 105 members of the Air National Guard, and 68,000 reservists. Then there's the Navy. The branch has around 337,000 active duty members, with 58,000 in reserve for a total of approximately 438,000. The Marine Corps also reinforces the Navy with close to 170,000 fighters of its own and 33,000 more in reserve. These figures demonstrate the balance of America's military and how well prepared it is to fight on any and all fronts. And it's not just in manpower that these three branches excel, but also in terms of the weapons, vehicles, and equipment they're able to call on. The US Army, for example, has some of the most powerful tanks, vehicles, artillery systems, and rocket launchers by far. GFP's data
This looks like the C5 Galaxy that I did a reaction video on it yesterday.
I actually saw it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Wow.
gives the US 4,640 tanks in total. Of those, the M1 Abrams is the primary choice. This third-generation battle tank often tops experts' rankings of the world's toughest tanks. It's one of
No, there's no.
Is there anything I see?
It does not exist. There does not exist. Like you don't really. They don't really go in a criteria, right? You have the C-17 Globemaster, you have the C-5, you have the C-130, you have the F-14, F-15, F-16, F-18, F-22, F-35, F-117. So they don't really go in a particular order.
So you mean to say it's possible to have C5 whereas you don't have C4?
Yeah, you don't even have C10, and from C5 we have C17. From C17 we have C130. So they are not named in that order. C simply stand for cargo, so it's a plane that transport cargo. You see F stand for fighter, so it's a plane that fights. A stand for attack. You understand now?
Mm-hmm.
So you see an A-10, so that's an attack aircraft. So that's why you have those C and then
the heaviest in the world, tipping the scales at more than 73 tons, and has some of the strongest, most impenetrable armor around. A defensive powerhouse, it's also packed full of firepower with a 120mm smoothbore cannon, multiple mounted machine guns, and some models even come with smoke grenade launchers too. The M1 Abrams is a long-running member of the US military, having been used as far back as the 1980s. The Army has steadily improved it over the years, upgrading the older models with modern features and technologies. One of the most recent variants of the tank is the M1A2 Abrams SEP V3. Fitted with superior defense against explosions, next-gen armor, and an added auxiliary power unit. Some countries boast more tanks overall than the US. China has 6,800 at the latest count, while Russia has 5,750. However, once again, it's a question of quality over quantity. Many of Russia's tanks are the T-72 model, which lags far behind the M1 Abrams in terms of both offensive and defensive potential. Russia's more modern tank, the T-14 Armata, is a closer competitor to the Abrams, but there aren't too many of those in operation at the moment. For China, it's a similar story. The Chinese have two main tanks, the Type 96 and the Type 99. The Type 96 is no match for America's M1 Abrams. The Type 99, however, has several advantages over the Abrams, being both lighter at up to 58 tons and more mobile, reaching top speeds of up to 47 miles per hour, compared to the Abrams' 42 miles per hour. So as far as tanks go, America has a massive amount and the strongest units by most metrics.
Wow.
So on paper, China has a tank that is better than American tank. I'm not taking that. Even if I have to take it, I'll take it with a lump of salt because an Abrams tank has been battle tested. Okay, is I don't know where China used their tank, so that's just word of mouth. They can inflate everything, and I'm not taking that even one bit. Do you believe that?
You're the one that know this thing, so I don't know what I believe.
Yeah, I advise you not to believe that.
There are some other excellent tanks out there like the K2 Black Panther of South Korea, but the Abrams still reigns supreme, and the US is already working on its next improvement, the Abrams X, which is set to be lighter, faster, and more efficient than any M1 Abrams seen so far. In terms of armored vehicles, the US dominance is even clearer to see. GFP statistics show that the US has more than 390,000 armored vehicles in total. That's much,
What?
much higher than the country in second place.
No, they're kidding me. 390,000 armored vehicles. How much did they buy that and when did they buy it and when did they produce it? When did they get the money to buy all of this? These things are running each like $1 million, some are
Stuff like
$3 million.
these even like things like you buy them and invest.
No, you
These
don't
are
buy
things you don't
it.
invest,
Once they
right?
kill one is gone. Like, one is down. You cannot resell it. It's just,
Ah.
and they still spend money maintaining it, pay people to run it. 300,000.
Which is India,
That's
with just
massive.
under 150,000. China takes third spot with a little over 144,000, and Russia has more than 131,000. In other words, even if you added all of Russia and China's vehicles, the US would still have more. But again, we have to talk about quality, not just quantity. Luckily for the US, the quality of its armored vehicles is second to none. It has an extensive and diverse fleet of vehicles, each one with its own assigned tasks and features. Some are good for transporting troops in large numbers across tricky terrain. Others are designed for support and evacuation. Others still are more offensively focused, boasting their own weapons and armaments. There are the Bradley Fighting Vehicles, or BFVs, for example.
No, I think this can carry about, I don't know if it's 6 people or 8 people. This one is a Bradley. They call this one a Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. And that gun on top of that thing is very, very,
Aggressive.
very, very impolite. I mean, it is mean, okay?
Stop being mean to me.
Yeah, if you are the enemy and you sit in your own armored vehicle and you see that thing, you better raise the white flag. Americans, you guys.
Several thousand of these vehicles are in action today, with many boasting 25mm chain guns and Tau missile launchers, which is enough firepower to take out enemy tanks at distances of up to 13,000 feet. Numerous other vehicles make up the US Army's expansive fleet, including Strykers, M88s, M113s, and MRAPs. They help with reconnaissance, transport, towing damaged vehicles to be repaired, and even helping units safely traverse areas with hidden mines and explosive devices. Moving on to artillery, this is one area in which the US is a little lacking. It boasts 671 self-propelled artillery systems, which pales in comparison to Russia's 5,000 and China's 3,500. With 1,212 towed artillery systems, America again falls behind multiple rivals, including Russia with 8,500 and South Korea with 4,400. For rocket projectors, the US sits 5th in the rankings with 641. China has 2,750 and Russia has more than 3,000. This then is an area in which the US could consider investing in or developing further if it wants to keep up with the competition. Now let's take off and explore America's extraordinary Air Force. As far as aerial combat goes, the US is unmatched. No other country even comes close, no matter which metric you look at. In terms of total aircraft, for example, the US has over 13,000. That's more than China and Russia put together, with 3,300 for China and 4,300 for Russia.
It's just the gap. I mean, the gap is extremely too much.
You can just see how these guys they roll, okay? That number 1, and they're making sure that number 2 plus number 3 is less than number 1.
Exactly.
Okay, this is 3,300 plus 4,000, that's around 7,600. Maybe if you take that and multiply by 2, Then you have what America has. I want you to understand that these guys are not even counting everything. Like sometimes they're not even counting like what they
They're
use for
giving
training,
the
someone that have decommissioned and still using.
mhm.
They like to just like if America can build like 2-story building, like if they can build 100-story building, they'll tell you that they are only able to build 60 stories. So that when you get there, you will see 100 buildings, 100 stories. If they can do something 10 times, they'll tell you, well, this can only go 8 times. They're always leaving that one gap, like they're always more than you think. This is what we know anyway. And there's a lot they did not tell us. And those who are going to find out will not live to tell the story. We will only tell the story after that. We just
Quality
know
of
that they
America's
found out.
aircraft is also undisputed, with some of the greatest, most expensive, and most powerful bombers and jets the world has ever seen.
that.
Let's start with the bombers. The US is one of only a small number of countries to boast of its own bomber fleet, capable of dropping both conventional and nuclear bombs. The likes of B-2 Spirits and B-1B Lancers form that fleet. The Spirits cost over $1 billion each.
Looks like a bird.
This thing costs above $1 billion each. One of these plane. One of these jets has the price tag of $1 billion. Guess how much your country's whole military budget is? Guess.
Um, I don't know. Okay, let me just say 59 billion. Oh, trillion dollars.
Even America doesn't even have $59 trillion. Step less of your country. The military budget of Cameroon is 300 million. And these guys have one plane that is more than 3 times expensive than the military budget of our country.
But the
Bro.
US still has around 20 of them, which is easily enough to wipe out huge numbers of ground forces or even entire bases. The B-2s can even drop nuclear warheads if needed, as well as bunker-busting
that.
bombs that can penetrate hundreds of feet into the earth. Then there are the jets. Look at any list of the world's best jets, and you're sure to see US Air Force models claiming several of the top spots, like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II. These jets are extraordinarily fast and capable of breaking the sound barrier without any trouble whatsoever. The F-22 can go twice as quick as sound, soaring to heights of 50,000 feet or more, and flying for more than 1,850 miles before it needs to refuel. The F-35 is another aerial titan with superior stealth qualities and ferocious firepower to outmatch almost any enemy jet it could encounter. The Air Force has hundreds of these jets, around 180 F-22s and more than 300 F-35s, backed up by hundreds of slightly less advanced but still powerful models, like the F-15s and F-16s. Other countries have some stellar jets of their own, like the Chinese Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon or the Russian Sukhoi Su-57, but the total strength of the US Air Force places it far ahead of either of its main rivals.
No matter what they tell me about other countries, until I see what they have done, I am not taking any statistic from from these people. The J-20, the Su-57. I don't give a crap about what they say they can do. Let them show it. If Russia could use their Su-57, they should have used it in Ukraine. Okay, America doesn't make noise. Like they just went straight into Iran and took out their facilities with their stealth jets, and Iran did not know when they were there and they did not know when they left. They just found out their facilities are burned down. Yeah. And so I don't like these people talking or smart about what the Chinese can do. And if they could do it, they would have done it. They should not, or they're afraid to test their jets, okay? Because of embarrassment. American. Let's go, guys.
And the impressive statistics don't stop there. The US Air Force also has around 600 tankers, which can refuel jets and bombers in the air, 920
tankers.
transport aircraft, multiple reconnaissance planes, and thousands upon thousands of helicopters. In fact, GFP stats show a total of over 5,800 helicopters for America, with more than 1,000 attack helicopters. Other countries cannot compete with that. Russia is the nearest rival, but only has a fraction of the American tally, with 1,651 helicopters and 557 attack units. Finally, let's look at the US Navy and assess how well prepared America is for combat at sea. Yet again, the US dominates many statistics in this category, though not quite as many as it does on land or in the air. As far as overall Navy sizes go, for example, China takes the crown. It's invested massively in its naval force over recent years and can now call on over 750 vessels, including warships, submarines, and more. America's Navy is the second largest, with a total of 440 vessels. Of those vessels, 11 are carrier ships, which are some of the most important elements in any great navy. The carriers allow the US to transport jets, attack helicopters, and other aircraft huge distances.
There's an aircraft carrier with an airport on top of it that carries jets and over 4,000 people on that ship alone. That thing is more than 300 meters long. Can you imagine? What is America? The weight of that thing displays over 100,000 tons. Can you imagine? When you go and buy fish like 1 kilo, and then imagine that you multiply that by 100 million times.
Oh God. That's too much.
Across the globe for military operations far from home. China can't compete with that, as it has only 3 carriers for now. Russia, meanwhile, has just 1. As far as helicopter carriers go,
Russia
the US
doesn't even
again
have
leads the
one.
way with 9. China has 4, along with Japan, and Russia has none. Again, this gives the US a huge edge in terms of planning and implementing long-running, long-range military operations anywhere at once. The US also has the most destroyers, with 81 in total, that live up to their name, wreaking destructive havoc wherever they go, targeting enemy vessels, aircraft, and even ground-based vehicles and structures too.
That gun can take something out 40 kilometers away. If you have to understand it, like from here to Bafia. I'm telling you the truth. You can take out something from here to Bafia 40 kilometers away.
China comes second with 50 destroyers, while Russia, which lags in many naval statistics, has only 10. Not all naval forces float on the water's surface. Some lurk down in the depths, hidden from view, waiting to strike. Submarines
favorite
make
machine.
up another large part of the US Navy fleet, with 70 in total. Russia sits in second with 63, while China has 61. So by almost all of these major metrics, the US Navy is ahead of its competition. It has a mighty naval force with some of the finest subs, destroyers, and colossal carriers to conduct all manner of military operations at sea. But there are still a few areas of improvement. The US has 0 frigates, for instance, while many countries have at least a dozen, and China has close to 50. America has no patrol vessels either, while China boasts 150. The number of corvettes is also quite low, with only 26, far below China's 72 and Russia's 83. And it has just 8 mine and countermine warships, while Russia and China again claim the top spots with 47 and 36 respectively. It's worth noting, however, that the US already has plans underway to construct more frigates and corvettes to keep pace with growing naval forces in the East. Add to that the fact that the US is working on next-generation jets, tanks, vehicles, and surveillance systems, and boasts the world's greatest military intelligence capabilities. And it's clear to see that no other country comes close to America when it comes to defense. And it's likely to remain that way for many more years to come, with the US committed to keeping defense spending high and maintaining its position as the world's undisputed #1 military power. Can you see any other country coming close to the US military in years to come, or even overtaking
see
the
that.
US someday? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you as always for watching.
Okay, let me tell you something. According to the American law, right?
Yeah.
Somebody told me in my comment section that according to the American law, America should always be ready and able to fight 2 different wars at the same time and win them.
That's true.
You understand? It's like you people have a law in your house that everybody in your house is ready to write 2 examinations and pass them. All of them. You are not allowed to pass one and fail the other. So you're always 100% prepared. You're always reading. You're always
Doing
Research,
you're
yeah, so-
ready.
So these guys are always building machines, like always building machines. And the technology that they are going to use in 2050, they have already started building it.
Mm.
And the one that are using now, they developed it years back, more
Serious.
than 20 years ago. So they're always building. I know other countries are trying, but good luck.
US remains the best. The cap.
Yeah, the country. So, guys, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Long live
I
America.
think it was nice having to see this. Oh, so amazing. I didn't know this is what you've been enjoying all this while.
Yeah, I'll sit around here and say, come and look at the videos. You're like, oh, no, I don't want. I don't want. Yeah. So, I know that you liked it. I know that you enjoyed it. So for free, you should subscribe. For free, comment, and for free, like I don't know if I should link my Patreon to this, but it's early. If it's okay, you guys should let me know. I can link it, but I don't know. Anything that has to do with money, it's kind of sensitive. So guys, thank you, thank you. We just enjoyed this video. Maybe we'll be getting back to do another video since you come down here again.
Sure.
Yeah,
I would like to do more next time. Yeah, it's so
great.
good. It's so good. I would like.
All right, guys. Here we go. Good night.